Namaskar, welcome to Sansad TV. This is your host Manish Kumar. In a series on foreign affairs on Sansad TV, we have a very special guest today from Germany. As we focus on Indo-German relations, we have Mr. Brinkhaus, Member of Parliament, Bundestag, which is called the German Parliament. He is the head of Indo-German Parliament Group. He represents CDU, the main opposition party, Christian Democratic Union. Germany is in fact India's biggest trading partner in Europe and also an important source of investment in India, which signifies bilateral relations. In fact, our bilateral trade reached US $26 billion in 2022-23. Germany has also played a historic role in independence of India, recognizing and supporting the Indian freedom struggle. On top, a recent meeting between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and German Chancellor Olaf Scholz on the sidelines of G7 summit in Rome further boosts the strategic partnership between the two countries. I welcome Mr. Ralph here on Sansad TV, and I begin asking you the recent participation of the multinational military exercise Tarang Shakti, which was a culmination of Pacific Skies, which held in Alaska, puts Germany at the heart of strategic partnership and collaboration with India. For the first time, Germany deployed its biggest military asset in the Indian subcontinent with Luftwaffe, which is German Air Force, top jets and transported military aircraft exercising together with the Indian Air Force in Salur. Where does the German-Indo partnership stand today? To Ralph Brinkhaus, the head of Indo-German Parliamentary Committee. To begin with you, sir.
Yes, it's on a very good shape, the partnership between India and Germany. We have excellent relationships, we have personal contacts, even on the military base. We have improved it now with this common exercise of Indian and German Air Force. And I spoke with soldiers and everybody was deeply impressed and asked himself why we haven't started earlier, because it was a success to exercise together, but not only to exercise together, soldiers have to communicate, they have to speak, and this has happened. And so on a military base everything is running fine, and also on the base of the government we have long-lasting relationships with India.
So it's a new era of India-German partnership. I also come back to, again, Prime Minister Modi and Chancellor Olaf Scholz agreed to work towards a roadmap for innovation in areas, some of the critical areas in green energy, building upon hydrogen, digital technology, including fintech, artificial intelligence, and 5G and 6G, the latest breakthrough in the telecommunication. Could you talk about the roadmap for such cooperation and strengthening the framework for Indo-German business relation to thrive? What is required and how is the position on these areas?
So first of all, it's important for us that we are open-eyed regarding India. So India is, I guess, not only the biggest country of the population in the world, but India is also a very important power in the meanwhile in economics. India is a power in research and development, and India is a power in, as we have already mentioned, in military. And therefore it's in the strong interest of Germany to do more with India. It's in the strong interest of Europe at all to do more with India. And so we have identified certain fields where we can improve our cooperation. And this is, of course, defense. This was the aim of our common exercise we had at Zulu Air Base this week. But it's also in the field of economics. It's in the field of research, so we have high-level universities in India, we have high-level universities in Germany. We have a lot of Indian scientists in the meanwhile working in Germany, and also the other way around. And now we must create a frame, a governmental frame to organize it and to foster this development. And what you have mentioned is climate change. So every 6 persons of the world is living in India. So the fight against climate change will not work without India.
I also, which I mentioned, the bilateral trade. In fact, Germany is the biggest trading partner. But having said that, it still falls short of the expectation, which is about $26 billion. We also see, in fact, the news which has come out that Germany has eased and invited a lot of Indian students to study in Germany, be part of the innovation system. And also vice versa, which we invite German companies to come and invest in India. set up their research and development base. What is required more to do and speed up such collaboration? Mr. Rolf, if you can highlight, you have a long expertise in dealing with the Indo-German relationship. What can be further done to move up and speed up the process?
So we meet more common official projects, working officials from the Indian side and officials from the German side together. Giving you one example, we have in the meanwhile many Indian students in Germany, and they are welcome because they are qualified, they are doing a good job, and they help us in the innovation processes, no question about it. So we have less German students coming to India, despite the fact that the quality of Indian universities is excellent, that you have certain research fields where you are leading in the world. And so what we need is a project to bring more German students to India, and also the other way around. Giving you the next example, in the meanwhile we have school partnerships, Indian schools and German schools, but we have not as many school partnerships with India than we have with France or with the United States or other countries, because we do not have the tradition. We have to improve the situation, and therefore, giving you one hint, in my opinion, we need an institution which organizes the youth exchange between India and Germany. And we have such institutions, for example, with France, we have such institutions with Poland, and why not building up an institution like that with India? So we are facing the governmental consultations in October with the German government and the Indian government, and one outcome could be that both Prime Minister Modi and Chancellor Scholz say, okay, we start the way for a common German-Indian or Indian-German youth exchange institution. And this is one step. And you could create other steps in the field of economy. So cooperation, for example, in this really hot subject, hydrogen. You could create it in the field of medicine. We know that the vaccine industry in India is on a very, very high level. And this is the experience out of COVID. We need more. We need more research. We need more production capacity. And why not working together between India and Germany? And so I could stop now, but I could also talk to you within the next hours about these projects, because there are so many projects lying on the streets and we just have to grab them.
Fantastic, and that's what we also call, German as a powerhouse of technology. Some of them in futurist technology which Germany is leading. Does that make an attractive destination for Indian student to go and study in the higher education there? Are you looking for to Indian students to come and study in the higher education? What is your proposition, from the German point of view, for the Indian bright student who's shifting and showing a lot of great interest, to study in the German lately?
I guess there are two aims. So first of all, we need qualified, skilled engineers, and not only in the field of software, but also in the field of electric and machinery and things like that. So having a working place in Germany. But the second point is we have put a lot of production capacities within the last decades to China. And it's not very smart to rely on China, only on China. So we are seeking for places for production out of China, but in Asia, out of many reasons. So India could be a place. But therefore, we need skilled people who are able to organize production capacities. And so the second aim of bringing Indian students to Germany is to train them at university, but also in working in the companies, let's say Mercedes, Bosch or others, and then taking this capabilities back to India, building up production facilities, because I guess there's a lot of air to build up industry in India, because you have the labor forces, you have motivated young people, and so this could create a double win situation between Germany and India.
Mr. Rolf, we just drift a little wider in terms of understanding German position regarding the whole concept of Indo Pacific. I spoke with Air Force Chief of German Luftwaffe, Ingo. He said it's a new era possibly for the Indo-German cooperation. But we would like to understand in terms of the foreign policies outlook of Germany, where do you see India, the whole context of Indo Pacific in terms of security alignment, where is heading? What are the policy makers' perspective from the Germany on this?
So Indian is a giant. Maybe it's sometimes a sleeping giant, but it's a giant. Indian is a powerhouse here in the Indo Pacific. And we seek to be partner of this powerhouse in our own interest. And when we talk about Indo-Pacific, we have to talk more about India, because it's a strong pillar in a security strategy, not covering only Asia, but also Africa. And therefore, we have really high expectations to India. And we were very happy when Prime Minister Modi announced last year during the G20 period that India will engage more, not only in India, not only in the region, but in the world. And I guess there are several points where we can create a partnership. Because we know that Germany, or let's say it in another word, Germany is dependent on world economy, so exporting and importing. World economy needs stable situations all over the world, needs safe seas, needs safe streets, communication lines, and things like that. And it's always a question who is safeguarding it here in Asia. And my personal opinion, this is my personal opinion, is I would rely more on India and less on China and other countries. And what we have seen at Zulu Air Base is that the capabilities of the Indian Army, not only the Air Force, but also the other parts, are high. And now it's a question how to improve it. It's a question of technology. It's a question of cooperation in building defense equipment, planes, ships, tanks, and things like that. And therefore, we have a lot of space where we can do more.
Mr. Olaf, I recall, in fact, one of our Foreign Secretary's wise word when he says the essence of strategic partnership begins when we have a military collaboration, military cooperation, some sort of helping each other in building industrial capability. I see the recent announcement by the German government to help build India the next generation of submarine for the Indian Navy, which is called P75I, Project 75I. How is it unfolding? How much is the consensus among Germany to build up a cohesive industrial partnership with India in terms of the military collaboration, futuristic technology? Would you talk about such policies from the German side?
So let's take the example of the submarines you have mentioned. I guess this could be a good starting point because we have an experience in building submarines, not only for the German Navy, but also for navies in other countries. And which, by the way, this is the advertising part of this interview. These submarines are really good submarines. And so I think they can help the Indian Army or the Indian Navy. And now it's the wish of the Indian government to produce, and not all in Germany, but that also a part of the production will take place here. And even in that model we are experiencing in Germany. And now we have to start. So we are really waiting for the decision of the Indian government. And when they decide, we are ready for it, and we can start with it. But it's not only about Navy equipment. We have also to talk about equipment for the Army and also for the Air Force. And to be very open, Germany has been very reluctant in this within the last years, very cautious to say, okay, what is happening with the weapons we deliver? Is there a conflict zone where we deliver weapons in?
Back to more, to understand, more the crux of your foreign policies, we also like to understand what the NATO position, in terms of the security, in terms of the budget and expansion today in the geopolitics, how Germany looks at NATO, and in the whole security architecture, where it's heading now.
So NATO is the backbone of our security system within Europe, and we trust in NATO. We have really good cooperation between the armies within the NATO. They speak the same army language, and they use at least partly the same weapon systems. And there's also political cooperation. And therefore, NATO is very important for us. We have to foresee what will happen in the United States in November. So who will become the next president of the United States? This could change something within NATO, and therefore we Europeans know that anyway we have to take a higher burden within the NATO. This means that we have to invest more money into defense, and this is absolutely clear, and this is in the meanwhile also consensus in the major parts of German politics, but also in the other countries like France, like the United Kingdom, and even in Scandinavia.
We always see Germany, has a great democratic tradition, and you also see India as the largest democracy. Freedom of speech, freedom of international rule, laws are well maintained, well regarded, and well fought over, by the Germany recently. In the same length, how do you look at the Chinese belligerent, role in geopolitics today, in terms of maintaining the rule of laws, international laws? Because it's the same policy which you talk about, in the context of other country. How would you look at, what are your thoughts on this? How do you counter the undemocratic and some of the conflicts which is happening, say, in South China Sea and other parts of the world, which is led by the undemocratic principle of the China also. What is your position on this, Mr. Olaf?
So China is not an enemy, but China is a competitor who does not stick all times to the rules. And this is a problem in the field of economics, but also in geopolitical fields. And so we have to be very cautious, and we have to be very clear in our arguing. And what I do not like is, and it's partly requested by economy, by business, so say, no, do not tell it to the Chinese because we have so many investments in China. China is a big market, and if they are angry, we get problems. I guess this is the wrong way. We have to be very clear, we have to be very hard. In the economic field, it means if they do not allow us to open companies, we should not allow them to open companies. When they break international law, for example, in the field of intellectual property, we shouldn't allow it to them. We have now in Germany a policy, if a Chinese company wants to buy a company in Germany, which is in the strategic interest of the German government, producing defense goods, producing goods for critical infrastructure, we say no, we do not allow them. This is new, but this is very important. You have always to keep in mind that China very often plays in the category winner and loser. We have to win and the others have to lose. So the model of India, the model of Germany is the best is when both sides will win. If you have winners and losers in defense, in economics, this is no balanced base for future development. This is my personal opinion. China often wants to win and the others to lose, and this is not good. And so we haven't to have being naive about China. But on the other hand, there are certain groups which say, so China is an enemy. I guess this is also not very smart to categorize the world in enemies and friends. But what we also see in China, and this is really concerning, is they have a very bad demographic development. So India is rising, and China is declining from the point of population. So we all have to analyze what will this make with China within the next decades? How will they react? Will they allow immigration to China? Will they switch production into other countries? Are they going to be aggressive because they have internal problems and want to cover these internal problems via external conflicts? Nobody knows. But one thing is very important. We have to communicate, and to communicate. So it's good to travel to China. It's also good on the other way around when Chinese politicians come to us. but we have to give them also limits and say no, not after this point. And in this field, we haven't all, I guess, India and Europe, we have been too weak, and we have been not too weak, we have been too friendly. And sometimes it's not good to be too friendly when you have a competitor which do not stick to the rules, as I mentioned.
So great point, stick to the rules here. Mr. Rolf Brinkhaus, Member of Parliament, he's a head of Indo-German Parliamentary Committee. I thank you so much for speaking, Mr. Rolf, on the diverse issue and comprehensive account of Indo-German bilateral relation and German foreign policy outlook in geopolitics today. Thank you so much. This is Manish Kumar signing off from Sansad TV.